Hello, YouTube family. I'm back, and today I have a very important message. So, let's talk about healthy hints, episode 2. Um, Today's topic is wheat and Dr. William Davis. Thank you, Dr. William Davis. You have blessed me so much, and money can't buy the knowledge that you've bestowed upon us. So thank you. Um, I'm gonna add in a clip from the video that William Davis put up. It's called Wheat, the Unhealthy Whole Grain. And there are healthy whole grains, so don't freak out. There is wheat that we can't eat. So don't feel like you'll never be able to have another donut or another cracker or another piece of bread, because there are ways to have it safely and healthy. But let's talk about health. So 20% of all foods are wheat. It's probably more than that. I don't know if anyone has looked in products, but almost everything has either wheat or corn in it that's genetically modified. And humans have been consuming wheat for thousands of years, so obviously it's not a bad thing. But over the last since like 1990 or 1980, the genetically modified food industry, which is a mass-produced foods, basically they spray the foods with chemicals like Roundup to prevent bugs from eating them. What happens is when you spray seeds with Roundup, the Roundup soaks into the seeds. Once that happens, or if you plant them in the ground and you spray it on the ground, it soaks into the seeds as well. So when you have seeds and you soak them with chemicals, those chemicals now become part of those seeds. So you can let that plant grow and grow and grow, and then when you harvest your food, you cannot rinse off the pesticides. You cannot rinse off the poisons that were put on there. It is now inside the organism. So this is a huge issue. Basically, when an ant or a bug eats the chemical Roundup, what happens is its belly explodes. Now, over a lifetime of consuming fruits, vegetables, or anything that has consumed this chemical, it affects us negatively. It severely affects us, to the point where, everyone is sick, slow, fat, unhealthy, ugly, unhappy, and just not satisfied with their energy levels, their life, or themselves. And I'm so blessed to be able to share this knowledge with you guys, because it has tremendously helped me out. And basically, heart disease, diabetes, Crohn's disease, endometriosis, autoimmune deficiencies, ADHD, bipolar, any health issue that you have can be linked to genetically modified wheat. Basically, over time, wheat has been changed and modified so that it can grow in different conditions, or so that it won't be messed with by bugs, or whatever crazy thing that these scientist farmers want to do. Well, it's not natural and it's not healthy. So a lot of people are reacting to gluten because instead of having the earth existed, and natural wheat started growing. The first wheat that ever grew had never been changed or hybridized or chemically or genetically edited at all. And that wheat was healthy. And basically, that wheat had a natural level of gluten. So someone who's gluten-free could have that wheat and be fine, because it doesn't have insanely high levels of gluten. What people are reacting to is the unnatural levels of gluten that have been hybridized and changed over time. So, and it hasn't always been fucked up. For a long time, there was good, healthy wheat. Now, everything in America is toxic. So don't freak out. I'm gonna tell you where to get your wheat. I order my wheat on Amazon.com. I'll be right back. Hold on, I'm gonna go grab it to show you guys. Alright, you guys, so this is the safe brand of wheat to get. It's called Organic Iron Corn, EINKORN. It's brand Jovial. I order it off Amazon.com, and I get about 5 2-pound bags for $30. So it's a good amount of wheat. This wheat has never been hybridized. It's never been bleached or bromated, and it's the only product that I trust. It's USDA organic approved, and it's imported from Italy. So if you want to have bread, donuts, cookies, crackers, cakes, have it in moderation, please. But also have it the healthiest, safest way. Because if you go to Walmart or anywhere and you get this bad boy, you're going to be having some health problems in your near future. This flour is enriched, bleached, and pre-sifted. Well, pre-sifted, I should say pesticide sprayed is what it should say. But basically, this flour is horrible because it's not safe to eat. This is equal to heroin and opiates. This is addicting. The molecular structure of this is so addicting that it's also an appetite stimulant, so it makes you want more. Now, they put a bunch of other bad stuff in here. Iron, thiamine mononitrate, riboflavin, and folic acid. Folic acid's alright, but I don't know the quality of the folic acid they use. Also, enriched. Enriched means that there is metals that are unsafe for us to absorb in it. So if you've ever looked at a box of cereal that says 100% of your daily vitamins, like Kellogg brands and stuff like that. Basically, those cereals have shards of metal added into it that are so finely ground up that if you took a high power magnet and you crunched that cereal up, look up the Health Ranger. He has a video doing this with a magnet, and he literally extracts the metal from the cereal. So, and this is crucial important, because when we die, when we pass over, the pull of the moon and the amount of metal that's in our body affects our soul's ascendance. So there's this issue going on with reincarnation where you get sucked back into being reincarnated without your own free will of choice. Now, Kelly in the Raw has a great video on this. I'll put a link below. But basically, we need to purify ourselves so that we can be made out of the highest, purest energy. You all deserve the best quality food. You all deserve the happiest life and the healthiest life. And if you didn't know already, what we put into our bodies is what we are created out of. What our mothers eat when we're in their wombs is what we become created out of. And it breaks my heart that there are so many humans in this world that are sick, that have diabetes, that are overweight, that are struggling with self-love and energy and happiness because of this issue in America. You know, in other countries, GMOs are being banned already. But here in America, there's a lot of other things that are trying to prevent it from being banned, when, you know, the main thing that we could all do is we could all switch to organic and not support the genetically modified food industries, and they'll collapse. They will. If you haven't seen the documentary Thrive Movement, I suggest you check it out. It shows a beautiful description of how the economic system will collapse if we all choose to buy the healthiest, purest organic food to support our lives and our health for the best and for the most important greater good for humanity. So, now I want to talk a little bit about how I started to react to wheat over time and how my health changed when I cut it out. For a long time, I would randomly sneeze, and I thought it was just dust, and I would get a little bit of itchy on my hands and my feet, and it never got very severe up until, you know, about a year or so after I had the light itching. It started to get more intense. Then, eventually, I started breaking out with psoriasis a few times. And as a child, I would get hives. So after I got psoriasis a few times and I continued to eat the crappy wheat, I started to get itchiness on my hands and my feet again. Then I started to get these little red dots. Then I was feeling tired. I had no energy. I would try to go for a walk for 1 block with my dog, and I would be terrified that I was going to faint. I literally felt like I was getting diabetes, and I'm not a super overweight person, but I just felt no energy, exhausted, mentally unable to think or process things. So just very cloudy in my brain and just not able to function. It was very devastating. It was so hard to do anything. It really was. And it hindered me in many different aspects of my life. I actually couldn't even work for a while because the issue was so severe that I would just sleep and not have any energy, and I didn't even know what was going on. I thought it was depression. But eating bad food will cause depression because it's putting negative energy into your temple, which is your body. So, about a month ago, I stopped eating wheat because I had started to react for like the fifth time severely, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is worse reactions." So basically, I would get this horrible knot in my stomach, like almost like my I don't even know how to explain the pain, but it was terrifying. I wouldn't be able to move. Um, I was scared to eat. I couldn't go to the bathroom, and I I started researching, and I found that the video with Dr. William Davis, and I started the way I found that video was I researched the gluten intolerance reaction on the hands, the little dots, and that led me to learn that that was linked to celiac's health issues, which is your insides, your intestines are telling you, hey, something's wrong, and they're showing it through your skin. And that's when I really got a clue and was able to make some diet changes to continue to secure my health for the future. And basically, what happened was I was experiencing intestinal destruction. And for a long time, our bodies block out the pain until it can't take any more. Then it'll let the pain come through. So if you're eating this stuff and you're like, "Well, I'm fine. I'm not going to like change my diet or whatever." Don't think that because your body is resilient and it will push through things as long as it can, and then it'll snap. So it's better to make the initiative to just make healthier choices than to push your body to those limits, because it's really hard. It's really hard to recover from. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. And we are what we eat. So do you want to be a low quality person, or do you want to be a pure high quality person? It's your decision. So after about a month of not consuming any grains, I had known about einkorn. I had experimented with cooking with it before, and I just hadn't ordered it for a while, so I was just taking a break from bread in general and from wheat products in general. And I went a while without eating it. I went about 4 weeks or a month. And basically what happened was I experienced a huge miracle. I used to always have horrible, horrible periods. Every month I would have terrible pain. I would have to take Midol or naproxen, and I would have to use heating pads, and I would not be able to move. Like I would get numbness in my legs, and it was just like very, very painful. And I'll make a more detailed video on the period issues and things like that and how to fix that, and tips and tricks and things that I use to save money. But what happened was about a week ago, I started my period, and it was a shock. It was a surprise. It was like, boom, what is this? Am I pregnant? Like, no, of course I can't be pregnant. I'm celibate. But it was a shock to me because generally, before I start my period, 2 weeks before, I get soreness in my breasts or like lower abdominal, like crappy feelings. And I experienced none of that. None. And I was just mind blown. I was like, what is going on? Why am I bleeding a very little bit? Now, it's because I cut out this toxic product. I cut out toxic wheat. And I only consume organic einkorn, which is Jovial's flour. Now, what's so beautiful about this is that this has proved to me that menstruation is not supposed to be this horrible thing that we experience. I forgot I was menstruating. I only used, like, my cycle was so light. I only used like 3 pads for the entire cycle. My cycle lasted 2.5 days, and the last half day wasn't even, I wouldn't even consider it like bleeding. It was like not even red blood. It was like very thin and not. So I'm just amazed that I've purified my body to the point where I don't experience menstruation pain anymore, and that is a huge gift because there has been a week out of every month for the last 24 years of my life where I have suffered, and I no longer have to feel that way because of one small little lifestyle change. And I still get to have donuts, I still get to have crackers, I can still have bread, I can still have all of those delicious things. I just make it myself, and I know what's in it, and it's made with love, and it's more delicious, and it's fun experimenting in the kitchen, playing around with flour and just, knowing where your food comes from, understanding how it affects us, and putting in the effort and the self-love and the self-care to make the right choice to give yourself the highest, purest food. So, if you haven't seen the documentary Thrive Movement, I suggest you check it out. It talks a lot about how genetically modified corn causes humans to become infertile. Genetically modified corn is in everything. It's in soda. It's also called high fructose corn syrup. It's called corn syrup. It's called modified corn. It has many names. So the people that mass produce these foods, they like to scam us by making us think things are healthy when they're not. So if you want to have popcorn, get organic popcorn. Don't cook it in a bag in the microwave. Cook it on the stovetop. Cook it in coconut oil. Don't do not use genetically modified foods if you want to live a pure and happy life. And definitely check out Dr. Williams Davis's video. I'm going to insert some clips, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. I would be so blessed to answer them. And I love you all, my brothers and sisters. So thank you so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for more videos. Alright, so ever since I seen the video with Dr. William, I believe his name's William Davis, and I cut out wheat, and I've only had non-hybridized grains, the organic einkorn. I'm about to go in the sun, so I'm all coconut oiled up. I haven't even tried to lose weight. Weight has fallen off of me. I had love handles, and they just disappeared. I had like flabbier arms, and it's just going away. And I'm amazed. Absolutely amazed. I don't know if you guys can see, my stomach is pretty flat, and it's just continuing to get more and more flat. And I'm very happy with these results because I didn't even try. Didn't even try. I mean, I weightlifted a little bit, but not a significant amount to like actually lose weight. So the diet change really does make a difference. Also, I only made the switch for about a month, not even a month. So it really does play a huge role. It made my period completely pain-free. I'll have a whole nother section talking about all of that. And I even just noticed that like my underwear are a little bit loose in the front where my belly used to be bigger. And I can feel like my hip bones and my abs coming in, and it's amazing. Weight loss isn't hard. Don't go run a bunch. If you want to lose weight, build muscle. Muscle will allow the weight to fall off if you're trying to lose weight. But stay tuned, and I'm going to have a whole section talking about all these amazing things to make weight loss fall right off of you. So have a good day, and thanks for watching.
This time, same deal, but this time they get an injection of a drug called naloxone. Anybody who works in an ER or a hospital has used Narcan, naloxone, to reverse unintentional overdose on morphine, for instance. It blocks the drug's effect within seconds. So it's an opiate blocking drug. So you give these people an injection of Narcan or naloxone, and they're told, go ahead, have all the lunch you want. Well, this time they eat about 700 calories for lunch, and then for dinner, about 700 calories for lunch, or about 1,400 calories over the course of the day, or approximately 400 calories less after injection of an opiate blocking drug. Okay? So, wouldn't you know, someone is enterprising on this the FDA application was made about 2 years ago, it's still pending, for the drug naltrexone, which is the oral equivalent of naloxone. It's an opiate-blocking drug, and in the clinical trials, it reduces calorie intake by about 400 calories per day, and people lose about 26 pounds over the first 6 months. These are non-heroin addicted, non-morphine addicted. These are just normal, everyday people who have a weight problem, and they're brought in, they're given this drug, and they lose weight, even though they're not addicted to opiates, at least not the kind you take the drug form. Well, this is not proof of cause effect, but I find it very, very interesting. If you look at what's happened to Americans, North Americans, since this stuff made it to your store shelves. So this thing was invented in the 70s. You saw Orlog getting the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970, but it really didn't reach your store shelf till about 82 to 85 or so, okay? But by 1985, everything you bought came from bread, pasta, cookies, came from the high-yield semi-dwarf strain, okay, the spawn of Dr. Orlog's work. So what happened to weight? Well, you know. Anybody who watched the headlines know that starting in about the early to mid-80s, we had an explosion in weight. You've been to Walmart, haven't you? Well, if I gain 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 70 pounds, what do I get? I get diabetes. There's a lag, right? I'll gain 30 pounds on Tuesday. I gain it over months or years. So there's a lag between gaining weight, having your appetite stimulated, gaining weight, and developing diabetes. So the number of diabetics, of course, followed suit. And these are data from the CDC only till 2009. If I include it till 2011, that is the last year for which we have data, you would see that the curve is now vertical. So now I can't prove to you cause and effect with these data, but I'll show you why I think it's very, very suspicious. It smells awfully bad that we've been fed an appetite stimulant. So wheat, via its gliadin protein, is an opiate. And by the way, there's a lot more to this gliadin. Because of the time allotted, I can't go into all of that. But it has other effects. So if it's an appetite stimulant, what does it do to people with a tendency to an eating disorder, like bulimia or binge eating? It gives them food obsessions. What does it do to a child with ADHD or autism? It gives them behavioral outbursts and difficulty with attention span. What does it do to a schizophrenic? Well, you know, it causes paranoia and hearing voices. What does it do to a person with bipolar illness? It triggers the high, the mania. So it has mind effects, but in nice, normal, everyday people, it only stimulates calorie intake, appetite. Okay, let's talk about, that's gliadin protein. Let's talk about blood sugar. What does wheat do to blood sugar? We're told to eat more of it, right? So what does that do to blood sugar? Well, you've heard of low glycemic index foods and high glycemic index foods, right? So high glycemic index foods raise blood sugar very high. Low glycemic index foods raise blood sugar less high, not low, less high. So where does wheat fall into that scheme? Well, if we look at all, I'm sorry about this slide, but look at all the years and years where this question has been studied, all the way back to 1981, when Dr. David Jenkins, University of Toronto, generated these data. He just wanted to know what happens to people with diabetes when they eat different foods. So he took normal, slender volunteers and fed them different foods. And he generated a curve for how much their blood sugar went up, called the glycemic index. So if you feed these nice, skinny kids sucrose, they get a high blood sugar. No surprise. You feed people sugar, they get high blood sugar, right? So the glycemic index was 59 for sucrose. What was it for? For whole grain bread, whole wheat bread, 72. Now, this is the original slide, original table from Dr. Jenkins from 1981, but it's been corroborated thousands of times since. It's in all the tables of glycemic index. 2 slices of whole wheat bread raise blood sugar higher than 6 teaspoons of table sugar. Now, wait a minute. Why would that be? Why in the world would healthy whole grains with complex carbohydrates raise blood sugar? Because all the dietitians and the nutritional community all agree we should eat more complex carbohydrates and less and fewer simple sugars. Well, what they didn't tell you is the unique complex carbohydrate. Complex meaning a long chain or branching chain as opposed to a simple sugar. So The so-called complex carbohydrate of wheat is something called amylopectin A. Amylopectin A has a unique branching structure that is highly susceptible to the enzyme amylase. You and I have amylase in our mouths and our stomach, and you put a piece of bread in your mouth, it starts to digest right away and raises your blood sugar. So it's uniquely digestible, as opposed, say, to the amylopectin C in beans, which is very inefficiently digested. And that's why you and I get, you know what, when we eat beans, because we don't digest it, but the bacteria in our colon throw a party when they see that undigested carbohydrate.
Alrighty, you guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Raquel signing off from another blessed message.